Hi, and welcome to Drupal Brief. This is an AI-generated brief of another video, podcast, or blog post. If you want to learn more about what's being discussed here, then please go check out the source. This podcast is produced by the team at Drupal Forge. We would love to create more AI-generated briefs like this. Please contact Salim Lakhani on Drupal Slack or LinkedIn and let him know what else you want us to cover. Oh, and if you have not tried Drupal Forge yet, you're missing out. You'll be able to do twice as much in half the time. So go check it out. Okay, that's it. Make sure to click subscribe. And here we go.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're going deep on AI in education today.
That was very timely.
It is. And we like to get our information straight from the experts. So this deep dive is based on a recent Talk in Drupal podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it featured Brian Piper from the University of Rochester.
Okay.
And Mike Miles from MIT Sloan.
Oh, wow. So we've got some top-tier institutions represented here.
Exactly. So if you are involved in education or just curious about practical applications of AI, or even if you're just interested in how AI is changing the landscape of learning, you are going to want to stick around for this.
For sure.
Now, Brian and Mike covered a ton of ground in their discussion.
I bet.
They discussed everything from creating content to writing code,
Okay.
supporting students, and even how institutions are starting to form policies around AI.
Wow.
So our mission today
Yeah.
is to extract the most interesting and maybe even unexpected ways AI is being used in education right now,
I like it.
based on these expert opinions. And you know what? We also want to try and give you a glimpse of what might be coming in the future.
Looking ahead.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
Brian Piper talked quite a bit about content creation and distribution at the University of Rochester.
Okay.
And his team's approach was pretty interesting. They don't see AI as a replacement for human creativity,
Okay.
but more like this really powerful tool that they can use to augment it.
Interesting. So how do they do that?
Well, they use things like ChatGPT
Okay.
to analyze their audience and create these virtual personas of their ideal audience.
Oh, so they are using it to sort of understand who they are speaking to better.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then they take these representations and they build custom chatbots
Oh, wow.
based on these personas, and that helps them come up with new content ideas.
That's a great use of that technology.
right.
Yeah.
It helps them identify content gaps.
Okay.
Like maybe there is a need out there that they haven't even thought of yet. So that's one way they're using AI. But they're not stopping there. They are also using data from things like Google's Search Console
Right.
to guide their content strategy as a whole.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to go where the people are.
Exactly. So AI is helping them understand what people are already searching for.
Right.
So they can create content that directly responds to that.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
So they're using AI to figure out what people want to know,
Yes.
and then they're providing that information.
Yeah.
That's great.
And this is where it gets really cool. They're not just creating new content.
Right.
They are also using AI to adapt and share their existing content across a range of platforms.
Their website.
Yeah, their website, social media.
Oh, interesting.
They're even optimizing for things like voice search and those newer AI-powered search engines.
Oh, well, they're thinking ahead.
They really are.
Yeah.
And they're tailoring their message for different age groups,
Okay.
like Gen Alpha.
So like the youngest generation?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Because those younger audiences might be looking for information in very different ways.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so the big takeaway here is that
Yes.
it's not enough for educational institutions to just have a website anymore.
Right. You got to go where the people are.
Yeah, you've got to meet your audience where they are.
Yeah.
And that means understanding how AI is influencing how people are looking for information.
And how they're consuming it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Now, the data analysis part is also really interesting.
Okay.
Brian said AI is way more effective at analyzing their content's performance than their old manual methods.
I can imagine.
I mean, these AI tools can pinpoint what content is performing well.
Okay.
They can uncover keyword opportunities they might have missed
Right.
if they were doing it manually.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a much better overall picture of what's working and what isn't.
I see. So it's giving them a much more complete picture than they were getting before.
Exactly. And they've even made custom GPTs that are designed specifically for some of their strategic goals and programs.
Oh.
So they're really honing in on those very targeted insights.
So that's fascinating. They're tailoring their content to specific audiences.
Yes.
And they're using data to make sure it's as effective as possible.
And they're being transparent about it.
Okay.
You know, if they use AI to generate a summary or an image, they make sure to indicate that.
Okay.
So their audience knows what's going on.
I like that.
Yeah, it's all about being open with your audience.
For sure.
About how AI is being used. Now, they did some pilot projects.
Okay.
And they saw some pretty big time savings.
Like how much?
Well, somewhere between 28 and 43%.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah. And they saw content performance improve by up to 28%.
That's huge. Just by integrating these AI tools into their workflows.
It is. So it's pretty impressive stuff. Now let's switch gears a little bit and see what Mike Miles
Okay.
and the web development team at MIT Sloan are doing with AI.
Okay.
Their approach is a little different.
How so?
They're mainly focused on using AI for code development.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, so they use GitHub Copilot with VS Code.
Okay.
To help them write code.
Okay.
It's particularly helpful for them in building custom classes and services.
Interesting.
And Mike said that Copilot can actually analyze their entire code base and offer suggestions as they're writing code.
Wow, so it's like an AI assistant programmer.
Right. He did say it's not perfect,
Sure.
but it saves them a lot of time.
Well, that makes sense. It's still early days.
It is.
But that's amazing that it can even do that much.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting here is their focus is really on understanding the code they already have and then exploring solutions to technical challenges.
I see.
So they use Copilot, but they also use other things like ChatGPT
Okay.
and a Drupal-specific tool called Drupal Droid. And they use all of these to just ask questions and brainstorm ways to approach these technical tasks.
That's cool. So they are really leveraging AI for those technical problem-solving aspects.
Exactly. So for Mike's team, the focus is really on code generation and that initial ideation phase of technical solutions.
Which is totally different from what Brian's team is doing with content.
Very different.
Yeah,
But it just goes to show how flexible AI is.
definitely. It can be applied to so many different challenges.
Absolutely. Now, both universities have obviously had to consider the bigger institutional implications of AI.
Right. It's not just about individual teams using it.
Exactly. And that brings us to AI policies.
Oh, very important.
Both the University of Rochester and MIT have them.
Okay.
And what's interesting is that these policies can actually differ between departments,
Oh, interesting.
depending on the data being used and the level of risk involved.
So there's not like a one-size-fits-all policy.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Mike mentioned classifications like low risk, medium risk, and high risk data. So for high risk data, like you might find in research or clinical settings,
Yeah, that makes sense.
the approval process for using AI is really rigorous.
As it should be.
Exactly. And Brian pointed out that teams like marketing and communications or web development,
Okay.
usually they work with public data.
Right.
So there's less risk involved.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have quite as intense of a review process.
Gotcha.
But it's clear that both institutions are taking data security very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And they're also really committed to using AI responsibly.
That's really good to hear.
Oh, yeah. And they also emphasized that pilot programs are essential when introducing AI.
Okay.
So they analyze how the tool fits into their workflows,
Okay.
measure its performance,
Okay.
do security and legal reviews
Yeah.
before they roll anything out on a wider scale.
I like that. A
Yeah.
very careful approach.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk about how AI is affecting something else.
Okay.
Website traffic and SEO for these institutions.
That's a big one.
It is. It's a really fast-changing area.
I bet.
Brian said that they're watching traffic coming from AI tools very closely.
Okay.
And right now, they see it as a positive thing.
A good way to reach new people.
Yeah, people who are searching in AI environments.
Okay.
He also mentioned that their SEO strategy is shifting a little bit.
In what way?
Well, now they're focusing more on answering questions that people ask in voice search and AI search.
So instead of just focusing on traditional keywords,
Right.
that's smart.
It's because if people are asking AI direct questions,
Yeah.
your content has to be the best possible answer that the AI provides.
You want to be the top result.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They're seeing less traffic from traditional organic search.
Interesting.
And they think that's probably because more people are using AI and social media as their main ways of finding information.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So institutions have to adapt.
Absolutely. So what are they doing to adapt?
Well, one thing is that they're really trying to be the primary source cited in AI responses.
I see.
So even if someone doesn't click through to their website.
Yeah.
If the AI gives them information and says that it came from the University of Rochester,
Okay.
that's still really valuable visibility.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, Brian also mentioned a Drupal module
Okay.
called Crawler Rate Limit.
Okay. What does that do?
This is for people who are worried about those aggressive AI bots
Mm-hmm.
that might overload their website servers.
Right.
It basically tells those automated visitors,
Like bots.
yeah, like some AI bots,
That's it.
to slow down
Oh, okay.
so they don't overwhelm the server.
So it's a way to manage that traffic.
Yes. And it just goes to show that the Drupal community is thinking about these challenges.
That's good to know.
And Brian also had a really good tip for integrating AI.
I'd love to hear it.
He said it's not just about the technology.
Okay.
It's more about managing change within your teams.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. Successfully bringing AI into how your teams work is really about changing existing practices and mindsets.
Right. It's not just plug and play. You have to get people on board.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he emphasized that it's really important to have those regular check-ins with teams.
Okay.
Especially when you're first adopting AI.
Right.
Get their feedback,
Yeah.
address any challenges they're having, and show them the benefits AI is bringing.
Make sure they see the value in it.
Exactly. That ongoing support and clear communication is so important
I can imagine.
for overcoming any resistance and encouraging people to embrace new ways of working.
Absolutely. You need to have that buy-in.
You do. And the potential down the line is huge.
How so?
Brian said that as teams get more comfortable with AI,
Yeah.
they start to rethink entire workflows.
Oh, wow.
And they even start thinking about building AI agents that could handle really complex processes.
Well, that would be amazing. Just to free up people to do other things.
Exactly. It's really about becoming more efficient and exploring new possibilities.
I love that. So what about Mike? Did he have any tips?
He did, specifically for integrating AI into development teams.
Oh, okay. Let's hear those.
His main point was that AI tools, just like any other tool, require practice.
Yeah, for sure. You can't just expect people to be experts right away.
Exactly. So he said, give your developers plenty of time to play around with those tools,
Okay.
figure out what they can do and what their limitations are.
Right.
You can't become an expert overnight.
Definitely not.
He also encourages a culture of exploring
Okay.
and keeping up to date with the new tools that are always coming out.
Because things are changing so quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
And this is key.
Okay.
He stressed that AI is a tool to make developers better.
Not to replace them.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
It's not a replacement.
That's important to emphasize.
Okay. So now let's look at some of the public-facing ways that AI is being used in education right now.
Ooh, I like this. Real-world examples.
Yeah. So Brian talked about Yale Site's team's internal RAG model chatbot.
Okay, what is that?
It's designed to answer student questions.
Oh, cool. Like an AI help desk.
Yeah, and he gave this fun example.
Okay.
You could ask it where to find vegan pizza on campus.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
Very specific.
It is. And then there's Forsyth University.
Okay.
They've upgraded their website search using a tool called Element 451.
Okay.
And this lets users ask questions in normal language
Oh, cool.
instead of just using keywords.
So it's a more intuitive search experience.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Now, Forsyth Tech took the chatbot idea and ran with it.
Oh, really?
They have a whole system
Yeah.
that can handle all kinds of basic inquiries.
Okay.
But here's the cool part.
Yeah.
If the chatbot can't answer a question,
Uh-huh.
it passes you over to a human
Oh, wow.
seamlessly.
That's amazing.
So their human customer service team has a lot less basic questions to deal with.
So it frees them up
Exactly.
to handle more complex issues.
Yes.
That's great.
Now, Ivy Tech Community College has this AI system that monitors student behavior.
Why?
It analyzes a bunch of data
Okay.
to find students who might be at risk of failing,
Oh, wow.
and then it connects them with counselors.
That's amazing.
I know, and it's had a 95% success rate in helping those students.
Wow.
So that just shows the potential AI has for student support.
That is really impressive.
And they are also integrating AI right into their curriculum.
Oh, interesting. How so?
So Brian mentioned that their business school is putting AI into their courses
Okay.
to get students ready for jobs that are going to require AI skills.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this kind of leads into something else.
Okay.
What about AI agents and embedding AI right into content management systems like Drupal?
Oh, interesting. So taking it a step further.
Exactly. Brian would really like to see AI tools better integrated with platforms like Drupal.
Okay.
So imagine being able to generate alt text for images
Right.
within the CMS. Yeah.
Or automatically fill in metadata.
That would be so helpful.
I know it would really improve content accessibility too.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian even talked about this concept called vibe coding.
Vibe coding. What is that?
So potentially someone who's not even a coder could just describe what they want a website element to look like.
Okay.
And the AI could generate the code.
Oh, wow.
So that could really change how people build websites.
That's pretty futuristic.
It is.
Mm.
But Brian also talked about content distribution beyond websites.
Okay, so social media and things like that.
Yes. They're using custom GPTs that are trained on the style of different social media platforms.
Okay.
So they can adapt their website content for those audiences.
So they can create different versions of the same content.
Yeah, they can make multiple posts,
Okay.
even video scripts from just one original piece.
Wow, that's efficient.
It is.
Mm-mm.
And it helps them reach a much wider audience.
But is the quality still there?
Oh, yeah. Brian was very clear about that.
Mm.
Their goal isn't to make more posts.
It's to make better posts that are targeted to those specific audiences.
That makes sense. It's about quality over quantity.
Exactly. And this kind of leads us to the next big topic.
Okay.
The long-term viability of all of this AI-generated content.
Right, because that's something a lot of people are talking about.
They are. And Brian brought up some potential downsides we need to think about.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, first, he's concerned about how much AI-generated content is going online
Mm-hmm.
and what that means for information reliability.
Right, because how do you know what's real anymore?
Exactly. And he actually talked about a linguistic study that had to be stopped.
Oh, wow.
Because the researchers couldn't tell the difference between stuff written by humans and stuff written by AI.
Wow.
So that's a problem.
That's a big problem, yeah.
And then there's the risk of AI generating to the median.
What does that mean?
So if AI is trained on just average content,
Okay,
it's just going to create more average content.
I see.
Which could actually lower the overall quality of information that's out there.
Right, so it's not necessarily making things better. It might just be making more of the same.
Exactly. And the AI avatars are getting so real now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know. It really blurs the lines between real and synthetic interactions.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos. It's hard to tell what's real anymore.
I know. And that actually might make genuine human connection even more valuable.
It's interesting to think about.
It is. Now, what about testing and security? That's a big one.
It is, especially in education,
Right.
where you're dealing with sensitive information.
Exactly. So Brian said that their testing so far has been pretty limited.
Okay.
They're mostly focused on making sure people can't get to the data that trains their custom GPTs.
Right, so protecting that data.
Yes. But they do know that as AI becomes more integrated into everything,
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be more security challenges.
Yeah, for sure. The more complex the systems get, the more vulnerable they become.
And he gave this crazy example of a university chatbot.
Oh, no.
I know. That started generating negative marketing copy about itself.
Oh, no. So it was basically sabotaging the university.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
So they realized they need to do a lot more to prevent misuse,
Yeah.
like these prompt injection attacks,
Okay.
or creating misleading content.
Right.
They have to really plan for that.
Makes sense.
So monitoring is going to be huge, and having really clear lines of responsibility for all of this AI-generated content.
Right, because ultimately someone has to be accountable for what the AI is putting out there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's bring it back to Drupal and education.
Okay.
How do Brian and Mike see AI impacting this specific community?
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, well, Mike suggested that AI agents within Drupal could be really helpful
Okay.
for administrative tasks
Okay.
and even improving navigation for users.
Oh, interesting. So making the whole experience more user-friendly.
Yes. Imagine having an AI assistant right there in your Drupal backend.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And they both talked about how AI could really improve accessibility.
Okay.
Think of things like automatically generating alt text for images.
Yeah.
That would make websites so much more inclusive for everyone.
Huge benefit right there.
It would. And Drupal is so customizable that institutions could really build AI tools that are perfectly suited to their needs.
That's a big advantage.
It is. So where is all of this headed?
Yeah, what's next for AI in education?
Well, Brian and Mike both think that AI capabilities are going to improve a lot in the very near future.
Oh, I bet. It seems like there are new advancements every day.
I know, and these advancements are likely going to affect everything about education.
Wow.
From teaching and learning
Yeah.
to recruiting students and admissions.
Wow. So it really is going to touch every part of the system.
It is. And they also see the rise of agentic AI as a potential game changer.
Agentic AI.
It's a bet. So it's AI that can actually automate entire workflows from start to finish.
Wow.
So imagine AI that can handle all these complex administrative tasks.
Oh, that would be incredible.
And finally,
Yeah.
they really emphasize that data quality is going to be so important.
As these AI models are getting trained on all of this institutional content.
Yes. Making sure that data is accurate and up to date is going to be critical.
That's a good point. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this?
AI is not just something we're talking about for the future anymore.
It's here.
It's here. It's changing education right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep changing it.
And it comes with both huge potential and some big challenges.
Exactly. So Brian and Mike's insights give us a lot to think about
A lot to consider.
as institutions start to figure out how to use these technologies. No, we just scratched the surface here.
We did.
So we encourage you to listen to the full Talking Drupal podcast.
Yes.
Explore the tools they talked about. Do some research into those AI policies that institutions are starting to adopt.
Right, because this is a conversation that's just getting started.
It really is. And as we wrap up,
Yes.
we want to leave you with a question.
Okay, me.
As AI becomes more deeply a part of our education system,
Yeah.
how can we make sure that it's actually making things better?
Right.
That it's enhancing those human connections, encouraging critical thinking, and giving everyone equal access to knowledge.
So it's about using AI thoughtfully and ethically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not letting it replace those things that are at the heart of education.
That's a great question to leave our listeners with.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
Until next time.
Bye, everyone.
All right. What did you think? Did the AI-generated thing work for you? Let us know. Anyway, to close off this podcast, I just wanted to remind you that this brief was a fully AI-generated summary, and we take no credit for the original content. If you want more AI-generated summaries like this, then let us know. Contact Salim Lakhani on Drupal Slack or LinkedIn. By the way, we're automating the entire process from start to finish, so these briefs can be generated hands-free and on schedule. You want something else covered? We're happy to do it for you. This brief was brought to you by Drupal Forge. Drupal Forge is the new #1 platform to try, demo, and develop Drupal sites, and it is completely free to use. It is a community-supported nonprofit platform run by volunteers, just like yourself. Come join us.